Hi, welcome. For those of you that know me and have been watching me for a while, might have thought I'm washed because I've been inting a lot. But recently now, throughout the last few days before pre-season's ending, I decided that I would try go for Master. And today I will be showing with you guys how I did that and what I had in mind. Okay. And just to say something here, I did that with a roughly 80% win rate. I played some other games. Sometimes I don't care, I just didn't, right? I don't really care too much about getting Master anymore. But throughout the last few days here, I played and I tried to get it and I got it with a roughly 80% win rate on Twitch, while also gaining plus 13 and losing 18 LP. So for those of you that are struggling with that, just know that there is hope. Anyways, I will cover a few things here. I will cover what I did in laning phase and give a short example of all of the things I mentioned. I'll go over my runes and what I generally like to do and the idea behind my items, okay? And first off, I'm going to just show my runes here because that's the simplest thing to do. And most of the time, I will just go for the standard lethal tempo, presence of mind, try with alacrity and cut down. I think cut down is the key here, especially in the meta that we have now. As long as I have just one person that is slightly tanky or builds HP, I think cut down is worth it and will take priority over coup de grace. As a secondaries, when you're playing crit, I think Tasted Blood is one of the better runes on Twitch for laning phase. It just gives you so much sustain in comparison to anything else. And then Ultima Hunter. The only downside to Ultima Hunter, especially now, I consider Kraken to be kind of bad. I've considered it to not be as cracked. So I'll prioritize going Gale Force if it's needed. And Kraken is more of like a situational item, or I'm blessed to be able to go Kraken because I don't really need to Gale Force anything. But as long as you have something to Gale Force, I think Gale Force is way better. Bork does 10x damage of Kraken anyway. So I'm not really on the Kraken hype. I think Gale Force is better in most cases, even now. The only thing that sucks is the long cooldown, which you could fix by going Ingenious Hunter. But again, Ultima Hunter is just so big on Twitch. Getting that Ultima constantly. I have people ask me, how are you getting Ultima all the time? Blah, 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 you know? So I think that is key. Attack speed, adapt, and armor is fine. You can take MR if you're playing against some mages bot lane, but at the end of the day, when you're trading, you take damage from minions early game. So I think that the armor will be a safe choice regardless of what damage they have in lane, because it will provide damage reduction against the minions. So yeah, generally speaking, these are the runes that I go. And for my levels, you can either go for the Q or E. I like the Q because it gives you the option of both offense and defense. So say you're playing against something like Nautilus and Samira or something that can really pressure you early game and where you can't even be in the lane. The Q can give you the option of just sitting in stealth next to the minions, allowing you to get the XP for the first few waves. The second and first one, most of the time, because you can just stay in stealth and then just absorb the XP without actually having to be there or show yourself or be in any kind of danger. And the E also kind of gives you the offense and defense, but at the same time, I think that the Q is more valuable here in almost all cases. Even if you want to go for an all-in, the Q is very nice because it increases attack speed, especially paired with lethal tempo. So in general, I would just start the Q and then take E second. And that is basically it for the early game and items. Just one more thing I want to say is that Last Whisper or Lord Dominic's is much better now than it was before. It got buffed. So Lord Dominic's now a Bork. It just makes the 3-item power spike on Twitch so much bigger, especially against tanks. So in general, because of that, I think that Twitch is actually in a better position than he ever has been. And that ADCs aren't actually as bad anymore as they used to be. Also because of how the bot lane meta has kind of changed now to be enchanters, which enables you to have a bit more success and not be in as much pressure or pain early game as you would normally be. Especially considering how having that breathing room early game really does enable you later into the game because of what I'll be talking about later. So yeah, let's get started. And the first thing I kind of want to talk about here is parallel laning. It is one of the more important things to keep in mind when playing Twitch. And basically what it means is how well you trade with your laner in combination together, and also to avoid taking 1v2 trades. Okay, so basically you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you end up taking damage from two people, and you want to put you and your partner in a situation where you attack two people. And the first place we'll see that here is me CSing, and Jana and Nami ends up fighting. Perhaps you should say, or you would attack the Nami here, but what would happen then in most cases is that Karthus would turn on you and start attacking you, and then the Nami would attack you, and then you'll be taking damage from two people, leaving you to taking a lot of damage. And when you take a lot of damage, you become very unhealthy. So in situations like this, and more other ones, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you end up taking damage from 2 people. When you attack someone and you see the support from their team approaching you, you want to pull away. The second you realize that you're going to be attacked by 2 people early game, you need to run away. You need to pull back and just stop, okay? Because that is very important. You don't want to take damage from 2 people early game, and you just want to play it safe. Because the key thing to Twitch is you want to rush Borg, and that's why I start longsword. You rush Borg no matter what, and maybe you get boots, but after Borg, you will win 99% of matchups, okay? So that is very important to keep in mind. Play safe and take minimal risks, and then ensure that you get the Borg. So by avoiding parallel, like getting parallel traded on, where you're taking damage from 2 people, you'll remain healthy, allowing you to get more CS and then reach your Borg faster, right? Because if you get constantly harassed and punished, you'll be sitting at 10 CS at like Slayer stages in the game, where the enemy ADC has maybe 3 times or 4 times as much CS as you. So remaining even or slightly behind is good for you, because regardless of which item they go, you will outscale or beat them with Borg and level 6. Right, you can see here I pull back instantly. I don't even go for it because they both attack me, right? So that is my first advice here. Obviously we end up inting here, don't really need to show that, but it's still fine. As for the second part I will be talking about, and this is all in combination of how to get Borg and get that early game lead, right? I'll be talking about roaming. It is something you can do in almost every single game. And from this game here, I'll be showing you one of the worst showcases of me roaming. And obviously in other situations, those games, I'll be doing it better. But this is one of the worst cases. And even now, I would say that it paid off. Because this lane here, it's very unplayable, especially in the early game. So not allowing them to put so much pressure on me and denying me CS, I'm choosing to do other things on the map. However, if you're facing easier matchups and you get a good shove, then obviously just roaming for a fast roam after you push into the tower on the second or third wave, depending how big it is, you can make a quick gank to the mid lane and potentially get a kill there, and then return back to your lane when it's bouncing back to you without losing almost anything. But again, I'll be showcasing here one of the worst alternatives of roaming, but still how it pays off. I'll be speeding up here. And what I end up doing here is I shove this wave as fast as I can, and then I go for a mid lane gank. One of the reasons why I did this here is because usually when Nautilus or some of these champions recall, one of the first things they will do is they will roam to mid lane. So an answer to that is me roaming too, because I want to prevent my other lane is bleeding because of me bleeding. So I'm making up for me not being able to play my lane by just roaming and trying to basically shut down my lane by going to other lanes and denying them. First, I go for a mid lane gank here. I just get the flash, which is fine. And then after this here, you might be saying, oh, the wave is going to bounce back. It's perfect time to go bot lane. Well, I don't really want to do that. So I end up doing here first, I go to the red. I try to install the Silas. I don't really have to do anything bot lane, so I'm just messing about here, trying to get things done on the map. Go for the Silas, deny him. Don't really get him. Spend some more time here. Again, look at the wave. And then I go for a recall, or I decide to do a recall, but then I change my mind, seeing Sign is pushing hard into the chase. So then I go for the top lane gank. And you can see Nautilus roaming now too, which is usually also like an answer to you roaming. When they're shoving or freezing your lane, if you start showing on the map, they will either start pushing or they will also start roaming. So if your lane's being frozen on Twitch, like they're freezing the lane, like Kaiser Nautilus is sitting there freezing the wave, denying you from being able to do anything, then just roaming will make them shove the wave. So there are so many situations where you can just roam on Twitch and then get reward for it. And then I just return to bot lane here, even if I have 1k gold. I just want to get the CS. I don't really plan on doing anything. I just plan to play for the Borg spike. So again, this is one of the worst showcases of how to do a roam on Twitch. But again, I still consider it to be paying off. Even though I'm level 3 here and they're level 4, and Kaiser's level 5, right? But again, I catch his wave, and it's not too bad, and I still got a lot on the map. And also the enemy lanes will be getting tilted slightly because their ADC, or me, is roaming, and their ADC is just sitting bot lane. So it's also a mental game as much as anything else. And that is basically the lane covered. So next thing I want to cover is, basically at this point here, you should have done enough to get the Borg. And now I want to showcase how strong the Borg is actually. Right? How strong the Borg actually is. Because my point here is, once you get your power spike, you need to learn how to play around your power spike. Okay? So realizing that you are stronger or as strong as your opponent is also a very important thing here. And me knowing that in most cases with my Bork, regardless of the game, obviously in this example here I'm showing I am actually a bit fed. But again, I do consider this as a good example because it just shows how strong Bork actually is, right? And the other thing you need to do when you have Bork or anything else is to recognize the importance of certain spell. Being able to understand which spells are strong and which spells are weak is a very important factor on Twitch, because there will be some spells in the early game and then later in the game that changes depending, that will show an importance or give you a clue as to what you need to dodge or flash to survive, right? So as an example, against a lane like say Morgana, Caitlyn or Lux Caitlyn or something, the spell you have to flash if you want to kill them is you have to flash the Lux Q in the early game, avoid the root, and then you can kill them, right? If you want to go for the all-in. And then later in the game, important spells that you won't have to, or like you should try to avoid, might be something like Wukong ultimate, the Mordekaiser ultimate. These things that will deny you from being able to make a play. And always it's going to be something like Fresh Hook, right? You want to dodge that. You don't want to get hit by the Fresh Hook. So in combination with the Bork Spike and learning how to play around your power spikes, it is also a very important thing to understand which spells are important and which spells has to be dodged or you should not be taking for you to be able to have success are two important skills to master as well. However, this is not a very hard one to understand which spells you need to dodge and which ones you do not, right? Obviously, everyone knows you shouldn't be getting hit by the Fresh Ultimates, or Fresh Hooks, sorry, right? So having an understanding which spells you need to flash if you want to kill someone is a very important thing, especially when you're going for these early game power spike plays, like the Bork Spike, right? You need to understand what you need to flash. So against a Caitlyn with Bork, you just have to flash her E. You flash her E, she won't be able to escape you then, because your Bork will be the catch-up, and you'll get enough distance. Even if she E flashes, when you flash, you'll catch up and you'll kill her. All you need to do then is to recognize that you need to dodge the flash E. I mean, you need to flash the E from Caitlyn, and then you'll win. So having a basic understanding in some form before the game starts which spell you need to dodge and keep in mind is very important, as well as how to play around your power spike with Bork. Because it's something that will allow you to snowball further after reaching the spike here. Just showing another one, but it didn't really work out. So yeah, that is basically it. Everything I want to cover. As for the late game, there are so many different examples as to what can happen. But the most important part of the late game is to just play as a team. Be at the right place at the right time. You can go for the YOLO plays, but they can obviously also punish you very hard or make you lose the game. I've had several cases of me inting, you know, Arrows had several cases where I into the game, right? So going for these YOLO plays as I will be doing here isn't really something I can recommend. But if you don't really care too much and you just want to practice or limit test or something, then obviously you can go for these kind of plays. But it's not always going to work out, you know? Obviously, there will be situations and understandings of when you need to pick someone off, when you can pick someone off. But that is also another thing you need to practice too. Because you can't just run in and hope to kill someone. You need to have an understanding that you can, reading the spells, knowing that flash or not right, getting in the right position. So going for these flank plays like I'm doing here is fine. We also need to understand that sometimes they might not work out, right? But in cases of Twitch, it is a good thing to master too. But again, generally speaking, playing with a team, playing around your team, behind your team, and engaging when they engage and not being the one to engage is always going to be the right thing to do. However, if you're feeling comfortable, then obviously picking people off is a good thing to do, but it's not always worth it, especially if you have to use your ultimate to pick someone off and you use that and then another fight ensues 10 seconds later, you don't have your ultimate anymore, right? So there's so many things to understand here and too many things to cover in one video, which is why I will not do that, but I will generally speak upon them so you guys will have it in mind for next season. Which hopefully, again, will help you guys improve. So yeah, that is basically it. I hope you guys feel a bit inspired, and I wish you all good luck for the next season. Again, Bork, Gale Force, Lord Dominic's, or Kraken instead of Gale Force is good. Lord Dominic's is huge now. I would not go Collector in almost any case now because of how big Lord Dominic's is in comparison. So yeah, that is it. And my verdict is that I do think Twitch ADC is fine. So yeah, I think we have something to look forward to next season. And I wish you all good luck. Take care. Peace. And hope you guys have a good morning, evening, on the which shit like that. This has been a Wackaflcka cover season 13 start enjoyment video. Peace.